Hi, everyone. This is Sharon Buck. I'm with Empowered Empath Entrepreneurs. I'm an intuitive sound alchemist. That means I use my intuition plus sound to transform and transmute people's lives and their business. It's one of my greatest joys. And to see the transformation that I feel so privileged to be a part of, because it really is a partnership. It's not just me. It's we work together, and it's just so rewarding, such rewarding work to see people's transformations and shifts in their lives. If I'm here in the Pacific Northwest on a gorgeous summer, almost summer day here, but it sure feels like summer today, which is great. We've kind of missed the sun a little while for a while. And if you don't mind typing in the chat where you're coming from, if you're here with me live, and if not on the replay, I'd love to know that you're here. And also if there's any questions or any and if anything that I say resonates with you. I'm excited to share what I'm about to share with you. So I hope you can stay tuned. All right. So basically, I'm talking today about 7 pitfalls to being an abundant entrepreneur and how to know when you're out of balance. So, how to get back into balance to be successful, because let's face it, if we have abundance issues, there's going to be it's going to be tough to be successful, period. And part of this is also dealing with creativity and ease in our business and in our lives. So without that, we're just not going to be effective. If we're exhausted and burnt out and not our best, our business is not going to be either. They're one and the same. And so, talking about this, we're talking about defining our own success. What does that mean for us? And as empaths, it's really critical, more critical in some ways, because we're so sensitive and to what others think and what others are saying, or all of that. I know that one so well for myself. Um, so we're talking here about really basically I'm focused on the sacral chakra. So if you understand chakras, you'll know about the energy centers, and I don't need to get into that. And if you don't know, I'm probably talk more in detail. But anyway, the success the sacral chakra is all about pleasure, abundance, creativity, and it's not it's just not success if we're not happy, plain and simple. It doesn't matter how much money we make, how famous you are. We see this all the time with people who are famous, who are rolling in money, and they are unhappy, and they just want to have a normal life. And those of us who have normal lives, of course, are going, gee, wouldn't I want to be one of them? Well, the truth is no. So when we go from this is about, the root chakra. When I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, it's really about surviving, just making it. It really is safety and survival. That's all we're focused on. And if that's out of whack, things aren't going to go well for us. But here we're talking about being defined by what we love rather than what we hate. And from an energetic perspective, this is like a negative charge versus a positive charge, or a positive charge versus a negative, if you want, what we love. If we're doing following our passion, if we're following what makes us tick and what makes us come alive, then that is going to attract people. So when we work with each chakra, we work with the imbalance on the right hand. Sorry, a plane is flying overhead. Hope you can still hear me. When we work with each chakra, we work with the imbalance on the right and the left sides of the body and the biofield. So we've got the field of energy around the body as well as in the body. I might wait a second here. It's flying right overhead. So we're talking today in terms of when that chakra is overactivated or underactivated. So, if one, either if it's overactivated or underactivated, it's not balanced. And so this is really, really key to our success. And you can also think of it as in terms of constricted or free. If you're feeling constricted, there's a blockage to our energy flow, and people can feel that. And we are not literally, we're physically and emotionally and energetically not open to possibilities because we're so constricted and so protective of ourselves. So when the sacral chakra is underactivated or overactivated, two sides of the same coin, it often shows up like thinking versus feeling. If we have too much thinking or too much feeling, it's out of balance. It's not helpful. If we're worrying about the future and ruminating about the past, and we're not in the moment, we're avoiding the feelings that are present in the moment. And if we're about pleasing others rather than ourselves, this is also gets us out of whack. We can be into scarcity or lack versus feeling gratitude. And we can be hung up on past traumas versus being present in the joy of the moment. And we can get into unworthy versus deserving. Do I deserve to feel this? Or what do I have to do to get that? Rather than our own worth. So yes, it's about self-care and it's about balance in our lives and our business. Our authenticity is all about balance, allowing our core self to have more of the reins, if you like. So following our bliss versus our programming, our passion, our animal nature versus our civilized construct. I came up with that this morning. It's this overlay that culture gives us, that this is how it's supposed to look. This is what success looks like. This is what a business looks like. This is how to run an online business successfully. This is what your message should be, or this is the strategy you should follow. There's that whole rational piece versus the natural piece. You can think of it as habituated versus free, or the adaptive child versus the free child. If you want to know more about that in psychology, you can do a little research on that. But it's fascinating stuff and it's fascinating work. And don't forget, we're all interconnected. We have a biofield, as does every living thing, and we are surrounded by a biofield. So, what we believe and to continue to act from is acted out for us in our lives and work. There is no separation. And I tell this to my clients all the time. If we truly believe the work that we're embarking on together, this is about shifting our inner reality that is then reflected in our outer reality. The two are intertwined. They're not separate. We always think of, if we're into the blame game, it's always about the outside inflicting stuff on us. And the truth is, nothing can be really inflicted on us. Ultimately, we have to allow it, at least on the emotional level. We have to, and even on the physical level, at some point, we have choices. So it's, it's about self-care and balance in our lives and work, but it's more than just about self-care and balance. It's way deeper than that. Yes, it's a practice. And yes, we need to get back to feeling free in ourselves. It's not about what's around us. And it's even that's not enough, because we have to unlearn what we've learned. We have to untangle the old knots as far back as birth and even ancestral. And yes, we do work with the ancestral piece in the work that I do. So our old patterns and programming get in the way, and we can't get there by ourselves. That's just something I know is true for me and for many people, because we're in it. We don't have the perspective most of the time. So challenges, especially for sensitives can get out of balance very quickly. And so we know when we're sensitive, and actually I didn't put it together until honestly just a few years ago, if that I'm an empath. It was probably 3-4 years ago. I knew I was highly sensitive, that highly sensitive phase. It was kind of like a thing going on in social media. And before that, I got a book on I forgot who wrote it, but I thought, oh yeah, that's definitely me. Well, you know what I'm talking about. We have to be extremely aware if we're sensitive and mindful and proactive, like Nothing. I mean, you have to absolutely be proactive. What might not be an issue for someone else can be a huge issue for us, as we're very sensitive to energy. And this is why being an entrepreneur is perfect for many empaths, because we get to set our own rules. We create our own work environment. We schedule in free time and time for things that bring us pleasure, hopefully. I know it's a balance because there's a lot of work to do, a lot of work behind the scenes. I know I'm doing it. I've been there and done that and continue to do that. So challenges for entrepreneurs, even more if you're sensitive, is that we do better as entrepreneurs. The very fact we do better by being our own boss and balancing our own lives and work, surrounding us with what brings us joy. We just do better. We do better work. We do better. The quality is higher and people respond. We get to decide who we work with, how we work, how much we work, how much we want to be paid even. And the downside, of course, is unless we're super aware, our self-saboteur can interfere, preventing us from going into the scary places and stretching ourselves. If we're into the sabotage, self-sabotage stuff that we all hear about, it's avoiding all discomfort at all costs. And this is where the courage piece comes in. I have a program called Courage to Shine for a reason. We also deal with the authentic and real versus the fake and forced. When we're trying somebody else's idea, we can try it on for size and see if that works for us. But ultimately, it has to come from us. Otherwise, it won't be authentic. And there's performance anxiety and being embodied. So, these pieces are really critical for us to get traction. And I know performance anxiety big time. As a performing musician, I dealt with that a lot as a singer, and I actually saw a psychologist decades ago for help with that, and I did some brain reprogramming, neural feedback, which was very helpful at the time. But seriously, it was just only scratching the surface, because it did help, but there was so much more underneath that. So when we embody our lives and our work, when we are our work, we are fully present and represented in our work in the world. So, but without being fully connected to ourselves and our desires, our efforts fall flat. So I came up with 7 pitfalls for entrepreneurs around abundance. Basically abundance. It could also tie into obviously creativity. All of this I see is connected. So number 1, money issues. A common problem I hear about from entrepreneurs is that they have troubles with charging adequately for their services. So they feel they aren't duly compensated for their services, and they feel resentment, doing too much. In other words, they are struggling with abundance. And sometimes we can dream about it, but not ask for what we want. And sometimes we are even afraid to dream. Maybe we'll be disappointed. And I know how hard that is from a personal perspective. But I think it is an energy exchange. Something's got to come in, something goes out. If our energy is going out, then something needs to come back for that energy to have gone out. Number 2, stories are not enough. We make up stories not enough. When we have not enough as a story, we constantly see outside ourselves. And having enough is not always about seeking. And I come back to gratitude as a practice. And if you don't know about gratitude practices, there's whole programs out there about it. When we see things through a lens of abundance, the more abundance flows to us. And we are content with what we have. And that is attractive to others. So, if we walk our talk, people pick up on that. Following the tribe is another issue. We fight between wanting to please others and have that recognition that we didn't have growing up. Especially as sensitives, we were super sensitive to being seen and heard. And, as empaths, and criticisms or judgment, perceived or real, we want others' approval so badly. So it's easy to get into this thinking that somehow if I in with this person, maybe that will help me. But it's not what the culture tells us. what we want, getting to the roots of our desires of who we want to be and what we want to do. So it's so important as entrepreneurs, especially empaths, to get clear on what it is we want and how we want to spend our time. The key is releasing what does not serve and allowing in what we want. And I know this for an example, for me, I was just thinking about this. I was doing sound baths every week. And I just knew at some point I couldn't keep doing that. It didn't seem a whole lot, but there was just something about this kind of need to get it done, do that. And I was enjoying it, but I just felt like I wasn't getting to some other things. And what I've discovered is by going to every other week, now I actually have time to spend on like preparing for this live and in coming together with my thoughts on where I want to go with this work. And so that's exciting for me. And I realized that if I'd been tied up in the theme and preparing for the sound bath, I might not have quite gotten to this, especially now that there's some clients that I'm working with. So the fourth point, self-sabotage. Addictions and numbing out are things we all can get into. I mean, whether it's a sugar addiction, alcohol, smoking, the list can go on. Food. That happens when we're out of alignment with who we truly are and what we truly want. So when we do and say things that are essentially out of alignment with our true selves, we are not in alignment. And the world knows it. They know it. And then we wonder why we're not getting traction in our business and our lives. Number 5, when we focus on the negative. We're focusing on the negative, literally in energetics. We have a positive charge and a negative charge. Well, you can think of it as positive thoughts and negative thoughts. Okay, and we all know about the positive thinking stuff out there. And it's deeper than that. It's an energetic place. So literally, I feel better now that I'm eating more healthy. I was always a healthy eater, but now I'm eating even more healthy and eating fresh foods. A lot, even from my own garden, which is really exciting. This is like the first full year I've had a garden. And so that is an energetic piece. We are literally consuming the energy of the earth when we eat that way. We're literally, we are earth and sun. We're literally, when we eat a fruit or vegetable that's fresh, it's like eating a piece of that. What we focus on then expands, and like attracts like. So if we hang around negative people, we shouldn't be surprised, or a negative energy, that it rubs off on us. That we are, especially if you're an empath, you're kind of like a sponge unless you learn some coping mechanisms. There's information out there about that too. But this idea of we are in charge of our environment and we can let in or let out positive and negative. We have choices, and this is where boundaries come in. Really important. It's really, and then realizing that when people are judgmental or being cruel or unkind, it's really a reflection of them and what's going on with them, their own inner pain. It's not about us. And yet I know as empaths, we tend to take it personally, unless you have strategies in place to deal with it. The 6th point, the way we get off track, is working all the time. And I know this too. I've been there. You've probably been there. But doing is out of balance with being. And you can even think of it as feminine and masculine energies out of balance. Okay. So, the masculine is very much the doer, the hunter and gatherer. The feminine is more receptive and nurturing. That's just the energies. I believe we all have both energies in us. And so when we're too much one and too much the other, we're literally out of balance. It's not working. So, when was it the last time you took vacation or a weekend off? When was the last time you spent time with your loved one? When did you have an unscheduled day? I know for me, Friday is as close to an unscheduled day as I have, and yet I still have Facebook Live. But it's nice to have that breathing room. Our bodies and our minds need that to rest and repair. We cannot go full out. Our adrenal glands our bodies can't handle it. We will burn out. It will literally wear our bodies out. And I see this too. People come to me with their, like at the end of their ropes. The digestive system isn't working. They're exhausted. Their adrenals are shot, and it's a mess. Okay, so we need to be healthy and happy. It's got to happen. It's number one. So yes, self-care. And guess what? Creativity does not thrive when we're tired and exhausted. My best ideas come to me early in the morning after a good night's sleep. I find that so critical to my clarity and my creativity. And the seventh and last point is overthinking. When we overthink, when we worry, we're regretting all of this stuff gets in the way of our being. And it's a great defense against feeling. So when we're into think mode, we are not into feel mode. And this chakra is all about, feeling it. It is proven our brains can't be in two places at once. We either are worrying about the future or we're present. We're either regretting the past or we're here right now. Well, what are some of the physical manifestations of sacral chakra imbalance? Well, some of them are, and there's probably more, chronic low back pain. If you've got that going and it's chronic, that's a flag. Another flag would be sciatica. I know I've had it. It's very painful. And there's also something called pseudosciatica, which is, I know, it feels like it. But in any case, we're not getting into that technical piece right now. There's reproductive issues, sexual issues, the pelvic and lower back pain, and digestive issues can play into play, the small and large intestinal issues. Well, so how can we address any of this? The old programming and beliefs and fears, how are we going to get past this feeling of lack, these feelings of lack and scarcity and, fear? We do that by going inside. I know, because I've done that for many years, but for many of us, that is scary. And if you've not been feeling your feelings around losses in your life, if you've been avoiding those difficult conversations, if you've been limping along, hoping and wishing and praying, then there's, I hate to say it, but there's going to be some fallout. Your body can't handle all of this, and your brain can't handle it all, and your relationships certainly can't. And then, of course, our jobs take the brunt. Many of us would avoid feeling at all costs. We think we're going to become overwhelmed if we feel our feelings, when in fact, it is the opening to our freedom, our happiness, and our success. And the good news is we have a choice. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control our attitude and our thinking around it. And we have a choice to ask and get help. I've tried many things, and don't just take my word for it. Many people I personally know have tried many things. And the modality I use in my one-on-one sessions cuts through all of this and gets to the core of who we are at the most fundamental levels and what you most deeply desire, and then helps you get into courageous action because there's now nothing to fear. When we face our fears head on, we have motion. We get into motion. And if that isn't life-changing, I don't know what is. And you can tell me if that's worth investing in. What I've seen time and time again is people who are willing to invest in themselves, yes, financially, but also with commitment. That is when things start to really turn around for them. And I know that's true for me. When I put down the money for the courses that I took, that's when things really shifted for me to the point where my whole career has shifted. Learning and growing and evolving is what we're all about. And yes, it's not comfortable, but I don't know a quicker way to get there than with biofield tuning, which is the modality I use. So the good news, the great news about this whole piece of our sacral chakra center, energy center, is that our desires point us to our passion. They are our passion. They're the juice of life, the joie de vivre. And when we dampen our pleasure, we dampen our life force. And we need to ask ourselves, and this is huge, are we worthy? Worthy of pleasure and abundance, worthy of enough. And I'm here to tell you, yes, we are enough. So when we release our barriers to feelings of unworthiness and feel into our birthright, we see that we are in fact worthy enough, abundant enough, creative enough, and happy enough. We're not seeking anything that we don't already have. It is already ours. Our job is to get out of our own way, recognize our blocks, actively work to release them, and believe we are worthy. When we live and work from an abundant place, there is nothing that is not possible. I firmly believe this. In work and in life, when we follow our passion, people are attracted to us and our work in the world. Creative juices flow more easily, and we're able to be more and do less, or it's just more in balance. We live our lives and work with creativity, ease, and flow. We're not driven by what other people think or what we feel we should do. Shoulding ourselves, right? I learned that a few years ago and I thought, what's that? Oh, we have balance in our lives. And then money in abundance just comes to us. It effortlessly flows to us and we feel healthy and alive. It's all connected. So if you're wanting more balance in your work and life, if you know you have issues around abundance and lack, if you have writer's block or are stuck creatively, if you are caught in guilt and shame or blame, you probably have issues in your sacral chakra. I'd be happy to get on a call with you to help you, take a look at that, release some of that as if it's a block, whatever comes up. And if it feels like a good fit, we can discuss how we might move forward in working together. I'm really excited to be here with you today and to share with you planes and all the noises around us here today, and just tell you that I just think it's fabulous what I'm seeing from the clients I'm working with, and I know you're fabulous, and I know the work you're doing is important, and I want you to reach as many people as possible. And I welcome any thoughts and comments. I'm looking to see a few comments. Thank you very much for chiming in today. And I don't see any questions. So if you have any, you know where to find me. You can private message me anytime, and I'd be happy to get on a call. It's a free call. Usually it ends up being an hour most of the time. I say half an hour, but it's actually about an hour by the time we're done. So feel free to contact me. And in the meantime, I hope you take really good care of yourselves this weekend. Take a breather from all the work, and be kind to yourself. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. All right. Take care and bye for now.